has already made an irreparable mistake that's going to cost Jay-Z the entire trial.
Tonight, Jay-Z's attorney, Alex Spiro, is pushing to get a judge to dismiss the lawsuit against his client, citing an NBC News exclusive that found inconsistencies with the accuser's account.
We expect Mr. Carter to be fully cleared of all of this in the coming days. Almost nothing that she says has checked out because this never happened.
This in the wake of our interview with a 38-year-old mother from Alabama who accuses Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, and Sean Diddy Combs of her when she was 13 years old.
If you thought Jay-Z's legal saga couldn't get any wilder, buckle up, because it just did. Tony Buzbee is out here claiming that Jay-Z and his crew tried to consistently bribe his client, Jane Doe.
Itself in court. But now in a new lawsuit, a Texas man is claiming Jay-Z's lawyers are bribing people to sue Busby and his law firm. This 13-page lawsuit was filed on January 3rd in Harris County, Texas, and the plaintiff in the filing is being represented by none other than Busby's law firm, who filed the suit on his behalf.
Yep, you heard that right. Jay-Z's legal empire is shaking, and it's spilling tea hotter than anyone expected. Apparently, Jay-Z's star lawyer, Alex Spiro, has been working on some seriously shady angles. We're talking judge bribing, witness tampering, and enough drama to make a reality show jealous. Roc Nation, more like Rock the Boat Nation right now, with Jay-Z getting dragged through the mud right next to his infamous buddy Diddy. With all this backlash coming in hot, it seems like Jay-Z's smooth image is taking a serious hit.
The civil lawsuit against Jay-Z doesn't seem so black and white anymore because a judge recently scolded Jay-Z's attorneys in court and denied their request to have the alleged victim's name be revealed.
As you all know by now, Jay-Z, the rap mogul, alongside his controversial pal Diddy, is now facing allegations tied to a 13-year-old girl at a 2000 VMA's afterparty. Both vehemently deny the claims, but the drama is heating up fast. Tony Buzbee, the legal bulldog we've seen in action before, is back in the ring, fiercely defending his Jane Doe client. She's accusing Jay-Z of some heavy stuff, and his legal team is pulling out all the stops to shut this down. And when I say all the stops, I mean everything. Sanctions, threats, bending federal rules, and spinning the media faster than a DJ at a club. Leading the charge for Jay-Z is Alex Spiro, the hotshot lawyer with a reputation for aggressive courtroom tactics. He's already filed to dismiss the case, calling it baseless and full of holes. But Busby isn't buying it, not one bit. He's firing back, and honestly, the courtroom tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Now here's where things get wild. Jay-Z's team decided that waiting 21 days for the mandatory safe harbor period was just too long for their liking. So they asked the court to cut it down to 1 day. Yep. 1 day. That's some serious boldness right there. Busby, however, wasn't having it. He called them out for acting entitled and playing dirty, reminding everyone that no amount of fame or fortune can rewrite the legal rulebook. And you know what? He's got a point. Then there's the whole inconsistencies thing. Jay-Z's team is pushing the narrative that Jane Doe's story doesn't add up, but Busby came in hot, explaining that his client, now an autistic adult, is recalling traumatic events from over 20 years ago. Expecting her to remember every tiny detail perfectly? That's not just unfair, it's downright cruel. Courts know this too, because mistreatment survivors often struggle with specifics, and this case is no exception. But wait, the tea gets even hotter. Busby hinted that Jay-Z's legal crew isn't just trying to save him, they might also be working overtime to shield Diddy, who's neck deep in his own legal troubles.
Carter has nothing to do with Mr. Combs' case or Mr. Combs. They knew each other professionally for a number of years, just like in all professions. People know each other. At the music awards, they support each other. If you go to the NBA All-Star game, they support each other. That's just how professions work. There is no closer association between any of them. That's also a matter of fiction.
So much for those "we're not that close" vibes they've been trying to sell. This guy's been working overtime in the media, spinning the narrative like it's his side hustle. From dismissing Jane Doe's claims to outright denying any bromance between Jay-Z and Diddy, Spiro's confidence is giving a little too much. Like, sir, are we supposed to ignore the decades of evidence showing their very real friendship? Make it make sense. On top of that, Busby even went as far as to label these tactics as not just unprofessional, but potentially illegal. It's starting to feel like Roc Nation is trying to cover their tracks. But the more they push, the more it looks like they're grasping at straws. Speaking of Busby, he's not the type of lawyer you want going after you. This man's reputation is built on tackling tough cases. And right now, he's accusing Roc Nation of some pretty serious stuff. He claims that Jay-Z's legal team is involved in bribery, illegal solicitations, and outright intimidation. But that's not the worst part. Busby has made it clear that these allegations aren't just about covering up one case. They're allegedly tied to a larger effort to obstruct justice in an entirely separate matter involving Diddy. We're talking about burner phones, fake badges, and a $110,000 bribe being tossed around. The drama surrounding this case is next level.
I want to make sure when we file the case that we don't just, I want to say it like this, Sean Combs, obviously has a lot of trouble on his plate right now. And, he ain't going anywhere. I want to make sure that anyone that facilitated this, egged it on, participated, benefited from, profited from, they're involved too, because that's really.
According to the lawsuit, things are getting real shady. Buzbee claims that agents were posting as state officials and offering up to $10,000 to convince his former client to sue him. But here's the kicker. Busby's firm says this isn't just some random attempt. These agents have allegedly tried this over 24 times. And if that's not spicy enough, Buzbee is alleging that Roc Nation is the one funding this whole shady operation to obstruct justice. If this is true, Jay-Z might need to grab a seat and let this sink in. Now hold on to your hat because here's where things get even wilder. Buzbee says he's got receipts. Yep, actual tapes of these so-called investigations, flashing fake badges, and pressuring people to flip on him. One former client, Gerardo Garcia, spilled the beans after 2 agents showed up at his house pretending to be from the state of Texas. According to Garcia, they pushed him to dig up old legal documents and accused Buzbee of mishandling his 2020 settlement. When Garcia wasn't having it, they allegedly offered him cash to switch sides. Spoiler alert, he didn't take the bait and instead went straight to Buzbee's firm. Garcia even recorded the encounter with these individuals, and Buzbee posted a pic from the video, further adding fuel to the fire. But here's the real shocker. One of the agents, Jessica Santiago, apparently slipped up and admitted she was working for Marcy Croft, an attorney linked to Roc Nation. To understand this a little better, let's take a second to talk about Marcy Croft, the person Buzbee's pointing to as the mastermind behind this operation. Croft is a big player at Roc Nation, which is known for its work in criminal justice reform and flashy lawsuits. But according to Buzbee, she's been running the whole thing with the help of Quinn Emanuel, a high-powered law firm that represents Jay-Z in several cases. If this turns out to be true, both Roc Nation and Quinn Emanuel could be facing some serious consequences. Irony alert, Roc Nation has built a reputation as a champion for justice, but these allegations? They're giving off major crime drama vibes. Not exactly the good fight. And let's not forget who's at the center of this whole mess. Mr. Jay-Z himself. While Jay-Z hasn't been directly accused of orchestrating these shady moves, his name is all over these lawsuits, and his professional relationship with Diddy is getting dragged through the mud. Buzbee's team is claiming that Roc Nation's tactics are part of a bigger effort to block investigations related to Diddy's ongoing legal battles. But here's the thing. This isn't the first time Jay-Z's legal team has been accused of playing dirty. Oh no, this is just another chapter in a long saga of whispers and allegations. In past cases, there have been consistent rumors about hardball tactics, like intimidating opposing counsel, pressuring witnesses, and trying to shut down victims before they can speak out. It's almost like there's a playbook for silencing anyone who dares to step in Jay-Z's way. Now, one of the most spine-chilling ways to prove this pattern is by looking deeper into Jay-Z's personal life. Specifically, one name comes up that adds some serious fuel to the fire: Kathy White. If you're unfamiliar, Kathy White was allegedly one of Jay-Z's lovers before she tragically passed away in 2001 under highly suspicious circumstances. She was found dead in her apartment, and some claim her death was a result of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the real kicker? Many believe Kathy knew too much about Jay-Z's private life and his connections, possibly enough to bring his secrets into the light. There's a theory out there that Kathy may have been silenced before she could spill the tea on Jay-Z's activities. Officially, Kathy's cause of death was reported as a brain aneurysm. But let's be real, things don't add up. The story only gets juicier with a bombshell from Hollywood Street King, who revealed that Kathy was allegedly pregnant with a boy at the time of her death. Now add that to the mix, and the situation starts to look even murkier. Jay-Z was married to Beyoncé at the time, and rumors suggest he didn't want any outside children popping up. That raised even more suspicions that foul play could have been involved, especially when you consider how tightly Jay-Z controls his narrative and image. But wait, it gets darker. According to an NYPD detective, Kathy's death wasn't as straightforward as the reports made it seem. Despite the official statement about the brain aneurysm, this detective supposedly hinted that the real story behind her death was still a mystery. If true, that raises serious questions about what actually happened and whether Jay-Z's involvement went beyond just being a lover. Was he connected to her death in some way, or was it all just a tragic coincidence? And just when you thought things couldn't get any crazier, let's talk about another name that sends shivers down your spine. Aaliyah. The beloved singer who tragically died in a plane crash was reportedly also the object of Jay-Z's romantic interest. And some believe Jay-Z's pursuit of Aaliyah might have played a role in her untimely death. According to Dame Dash, Jay-Z's former business partner, Jay-Z was relentless in his pursuit of Aaliyah, sending her flowers, inviting her to exclusive parties, and trying to win her over. But here's the thing, Aaliyah rejected him over and over again.
The record with him, with Jay, that's why I was that was almost like one of the things where I was just like, he's out of here, Jake. I just let it go because I couldn't believe he did a project with her, with R. Kelly, knowing that he had a girl.
And after Aaliyah's tragic passing, disturbing rumors began to swirl. Some folks claimed her death wasn't just an accident, it might have been orchestrated. There were whispers that powerful figures in the music industry, including R. Kelly, Diddy, and yes, even Jay-Z, could have been involved in some way. But that's not all. Some sources suggest that Aaliyah wasn't even supposed to board that fateful plane. The rumor mill claims she was allegedly sedated without her consent, leaving her unconscious when she was placed on that plane. After that, the plane took off, and the rest is history. Aaliyah's devastating, still unexplained death. What's even more unsettling is the timeline. After Aaliyah rejected Jay-Z's advances, Jay-Z reportedly turned his focus to Beyoncé, who, like Aaliyah, was much younger when Jay-Z set his sights on her. And now this raises even more questions. Is there a pattern in Jay-Z's behavior towards younger women? Well, it certainly did, because reports have surfaced suggesting that Jay-Z allegedly had a thing with Foxy Brown when she was just 15 years old. Yeah, you heard that right, 15. Now, if that doesn't raise some serious red flags, here's where things get even juicier. Supposedly, Beyoncé, who reportedly was jealous of Foxy, didn't take too kindly to their relationship. Word on the street is that Jay-Z, in an attempt to keep things under wraps and smooth over the drama, helped derail Foxy's career. The story goes that he even paid her thousands to keep quiet about their affair. Now, this all went down in the early 2000s, and ironically, the lawsuit making rounds now also happened during that same time frame. The year 2000 was the peak of the music industry's excesses, award shows, after parties, powerful names running the Hollywood scene, you name it. Enter our plaintiff, Jane Doe, who was just a teenager at the time. Like a lot of kids her age, Jane Doe was fascinated with the fast-paced Hollywood life. Her biggest dream at the time was to just be in the same room as these celebrities. Somehow she managed to find herself at a party she had no business being at, allegedly hosted by none other than Diddy. At this point, there's no rock so big you could live under and not know about the infamous parties Diddy was throwing. So we don't need to get into too much detail about that. According to the lawsuit, Jane Doe was trying to get into the VMAs when she met a limo driver who told her about the party. Allegedly, he said, "You'll fit right in. You're Diddy's type." The driver picks her up later, takes her to the party, and that's when things started to get messy. Jane Doe claims the party was packed with big names, celebrities, music moguls, the whole shebang. But she noticed something felt off. She had a drink, and almost immediately, she began feeling strange, disoriented, and unwell. She went to a bedroom to lie down, and that's when things allegedly took a darker turn. If you've been following the Diddy case, then you probably already know what's allegedly been going down at these infamous gatherings, and it all checks out. Allegedly, Jay-Z and Diddy entered the room with an unnamed female celebrity. According to Jane Doe, they began doing things to her that should never happen to anyone, especially not at her age, or under any circumstances. In the lawsuit, Jane Doe recalls that Jay-Z went in first, followed by Diddy, while the unnamed female celebrity just stood by and watched. She also claims that Jay-Z appeared surprised when she began to resist, as if he was taken aback by her sudden change in demeanor. Jane Doe was initially unable to fight back, but eventually snapped out of it, grabbed her clothes, and ran out of the party in distress. In the next part of the lawsuit, it says that even though she was clearly in distress, partially undressed, mind you, and stormed out of the room into a crowd of people, no one so much as looked her way, let alone tried to help. They just went on doing whatever they always did at Diddy's parties, much like the female celebrity in the room who deliberately looked the other way. It doesn't seem all that far-fetched when you think about it, especially considering that there's an actual video from one of Diddy's parties where a girl's hair caught on fire, and instead of anyone stepping in to help, people just laughed. This story takes another heartbreaking turn as Jane Doe, just 13 years old at the time, realized that no one was offering help. In a desperate bid to escape the trauma, she braved the darkness of the night and found refuge at a nearby gas station. For the first time that evening, she found a glimmer of safety. At the gas station, a compassionate female clerk lent her a phone so she could call her dad. Her father arrived, picked her up, and took her home. But the nightmare didn't end there. According to the lawsuit, this traumatic event has had lifelong consequences for Jane. She has struggled with depression, anxiety, self-blame, and numerous other issues ever since. This is where Tony Buzbee comes in. He's making sure that justice will prevail for Jane Doe, and potentially many other victims who've been victimized by these once untouchable moguls. What's even more telling, Busby has handled 120 cases involving Diddy, and there must be some cases within those that also talk about Jay-Z, considering their decades-long bond. Now, this isn't Busby's first time going up against big names in the entertainment industry. In 2004, he filed a $50 million lawsuit against Chris Brown and his entourage after 4 men claimed they were attacked at one of Brown's concerts in Fort Worth, Texas. On the flip side, plaintiffs love Busby because he doesn't play it safe. He's fearless. When it comes to going after powerful people, he's a force to be reckoned with. Busby is the kind of attorney who makes big names sweat, and he seems to thrive on it. When he walks into a courtroom, it's like he's stepping into a heavyweight championship fight. Right now, Jay-Z is in the ring. Busby has framed this case as a stand against exploitation in the entertainment industry. While Jane Doe could have pursued criminal charges, they've decided to file this as a civil case instead. And here's the kicker. Busby and his team believe this case has the potential to surpass all their previous work and leave a lasting impact on the entertainment industry. As expected, Jay-Z isn't backing down. He's not buying any of this. But let's be real, his reaction? It's raising some serious eyebrows. If you know anything about Jay-Z and Beyonce, you know they almost never respond to any kind of backlash, no matter how wild the accusations. Whether it's about clout chasers or serious allegations, they've always kept things clean, quiet, and classy. But now, with this bombshell lawsuit, things are different. Here's Jay-Z's long response to all of this. Sheesh, Busby must have hit below the belt because Jay-Z's putting his whole heart into his response. He says, "My lawyer received a blackmail attempt, a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Buzbee. What he calculated was that the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir. It had the very opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny." This lawyer, who I've done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. I have no idea how you become such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby, but I promise you, I've seen your kind many times over. I am more than prepared to deal with your type. We have a very strict code and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Jay-Z signed off with a strong statement. I look forward to showing you how I'm different. The lawsuit aside, these two have been fighting on a personal level on social media. Busby didn't back down, responding, "I have been sued in Los Angeles in a last-ditch attempt to stop me from revealing names in public lawsuits. It won't work." He continued, "The irony, the lawsuit against me was filed by a powerful John Doe. Here's my full statement. We won't allow the powerful and their high-dollar lawyers to intimidate or silence SA survivors." With all this being said, it's undeniable that we might be witnessing the biggest lawsuit in the entertainment industry. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think Jay-Z is guilty? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And while we wait for more updates, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this.